This is Open Line.
And so that's where we are. But you're looking good, so.
Into Open Line, I'm Chuck Long, glad to be along with you for the next hour. It's one of my favorite hours here on Open Line. This is Ask an Attorney, Ask the Expert, and the expert is Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. One of my favorite guests, and I know it's one of your favorite guests. And you know, the thing that is just, to me, such a big bonus is I know a lot of times you have those legal questions and you're just not sure where to turn. You see these advertisements on television, you hear people talking about who should you ask, what should you ask. Well, this is your hour. This is your hour when you can ask whatever question you have that's in that legal element. And like I said, the expert is Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. We're going to welcome him once again. Great to see you, Kevin. How are you this evening?
Good evening, Chuck. Here we are in Zoom land again. I always love to see you. Can't wait till we get back together, but all things are good. We're from the downtown, my downtown office. You know, I have 3 offices, one at Fort Campbell and one on the Wilma Rudolph, and then we have one right in front of the courthouse, and that's where we are here tonight, broadcasting live.
Well, we always enjoy it. And, you know, Kevin, I'm always amazed. We get such a broad range of questions. And obviously, there are, many questions that people have legally. But the thing that always amazes me, I should say amazes me, but the thing that used to surprise me was you're able to answer all of these questions. But that's what really, I think, makes your law firm so popular and such a well-respected law firm, because you guys are able to answer all of those questions. You've got the experts in all the fields. And I know that's not by accident.
Well, it's been said, I had some lawyers come by here a few years ago, and they said, Kevin, your waiting room doesn't look like a lawyer waiting room. It looks like an emergency room because there's always a lot of people. And so, we are open at 7 a.m. Most law offices don't open. And people would say, well, why? I said, because most of the time I've got to be in court at 9, and people would come in and they'd have their problems and they need to talk. So we wanted to meet them. Quite frankly, during the pandemic, a lot of lawyers didn't come in and many were closed. And so that gave a whole lot of other people, they need access to some legal help. And I'm one of those that really feels that responsibility. If I can help somebody, I want to help them. I'm compelled to help them. And so if there's 4 out there, I got to try to see all 4.
Well, that's an absolute, bonus, like I said, for everybody that needs your services. And also, we say this often, but when you've been in business over 35 years, you really know what you're doing and you're able to help a lot of people. And that's another thing that this show does, is it helps a lot of people that are calling in. They have the questions, and it obviously is helping them, but it helps a lot of other people that may have that same question in that same, vicinity.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to have knowledge. It's even more exciting to share it with people who really need it and they can use it. And if you can give something and it takes some peace of mind, it helps the family, helps the children, helps the grandchildren, and we can avoid so many problems. They say, well, what are you really? Nothing more than a legal problem solver, and I've spent my life doing it. And so I really love this opportunity with Channel 5 to get to share this and help a lot of people. And anxiety's for real, job loss is for real, courthouse and trying to get through the system is for real, and it's tough for even the most skilled lawyers. So thank you, Chuck. You're always very kind. I love doing this show with you because you're a man that really cares about these people, and that inspires me to bring what talent I have and share it. You make it wonderful and very pleasant, Chuck. Thank you.
Well, I always appreciate that, Kevin. But like I said, I've been your student here for years now. So,
Come on now.
That's right. I feel like, I just sit here, I learn, I absorb, I take it home with me. And I can't tell you how many times, through the week, something that you said on the show, I will go, oh, yeah, Kevin said to do this or not do that. Well, folks, if you're out there wondering about your legal questions tonight, the number to call is on your screen right there, 737-7587. Any question that you have that's in that legal area, that's what we want to help you with tonight. And like I said, your question can often help a lot more people than just you. We are going to go right to the phones right now. That number, once again, 737-7587. Les is on the line with us. Les, good evening. Do you have a question for Kevin Kennedy?
Yes, I do. How are you doing this evening, Mr. Kennedy?
Great, Les. Good to talk to you.
I'm trying to find out why lawyers are afraid to challenge hospitals when you have a person that has a hospital-acquired infection after an operation?
Well, the truth is it really gets back to the legislature, and I love the question because it affects so many people. Remember, the legislature has control over the lawsuits and the laws, and they make it so difficult for the average man to bring a claim against a healthcare professional or a hospital. So it really gets back to a legislative problem. And quite frankly, it gets so expensive, even for the lawyers, if they have to get an expert to say, this is a deviation from the standard of care in this medical community. The doctor said, well, I'll give you an opinion, Mr. Kennedy, but it's $5,000. I'll give you an opinion, Mr. Kennedy. Mine is $12,000. Well, not many people want to take a chance, give them $12,000, and they come back and say, no, I do not believe it's a deviation from the standard of care. So quite frankly, you could spend a fortune and never get it done. And so remember this, the insurance companies that back the hospitals have got numerous resources available to them in their, whatever you want to call it, their lunchbox, their bag, or whatever, when it comes down to bringing out experts on any particular medical problem there is. I submit to you, the odds are great. They will find one that says there is no deviation, and they will say there is no malpractice, so we can count on that. So sometimes we have to have 2 or 3. That's really. Now, if the legislature were to rewrite these statutes and make it easier to bring these claims, then hello, come in. You would get a little more justice. So always be sensitive to our state senator and our legislature, and try to always advance these causes because it helps the average working man. Thank you for your question, Les.
And we do appreciate that. Absolutely, Les. And thanks for that response, Kevin. Kevin, what about for the folks that, especially like last week after we had that, run of really frigid weather, people have busted pipes, there's all kind of things that they're having to deal with and repairs and what have you. Insurance companies they go to, they're not quite sure if the insurance company is answering them, straight ahead with the answers that they're hoping to hear. What do you advise to people right now about that?
Well, the real world is we're in the pandemic. So y'all know I'm calling the insurance companies with my lawyers, my support staff all day long, every day. You know what we're experiencing? A lot of voicemails, a lot of telephone calls that don't get returned. You send emails. So that's why we have what's known as the Department of Insurance and Commerce in the state of Tennessee. When the insurance company will not treat you with good faith, it's a potential bad faith claim, and you can file with the commissioner of insurance and say, I paid my premium, they won't honor it, and you can usually move them, and you can make them. And if here's the word to the wise, we'll say it until we quit this show, the squeaky door gets the oil. You must advance your own cause. You must make a claim. You must protect your own property rights. And if you don't, believe me, the insurance company will not pay.
All right, great to know. All right, we are going back to our lines. If you are just tuning in, you are tuning in when we have one of our favorite guests here, Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm, asking your legal questions, and I know you have a lot of them. As we go to the lines right now, Doris is on the line with us. Doris, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
A question?
All right, go ahead.
I want to know how you get out from under a power of attorney.
Okay. Well, here's the deal in Tennessee, Doris. You have a right to grant a power of attorney. You have the right to revoke a power of attorney. It's you go to a lawyer that draws that document, and you can go to a lawyer and ask to have it revoked. You write that revocation of a power of attorney, you have it notarized with a lawyer, you can send a copy to that person and put them on notice. You also have the ability to go to the courthouse and file that, and it puts the world on notice that the power of attorney has been revoked. One more thing, everybody says, well, I got this car title, and they signed the title with a power of attorney. You're held to the degree. Did you check and see if that power of attorney is valid, or has it been revoked? it could catch up with you. So yes, power of attorneys are great things. I want people to consider it. I had one of the richest people that I ever knew in my office. And I said, well, don't you want to grant, he was elderly, a power of attorney to your children? And he came back and he said, Kevin, I'm not sure that I can trust them. Those words have, so we need to give that. You become a fiduciary. That means you're responsible. And there's laws that would charge you if you breached your fiduciary responsibility. Power of attorneys are wonderful things. I want everybody to consider hard. It can save you untold problems. And if you're rich, it'll save you millions of dollars, no doubt. So use it when it needs to be. And if there's a problem, come see it. You can revoke it. Thank you so much, Doris.
All right, Doris, absolutely. Thanks for the question. We really appreciate it. We go right back to our lines, and I believe Tom is on the line with us. Tom, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yeah, I had a question about, it's a federal parole law things. Do you know anything about the Extension Acts? I got them on paper. I found the library up here east of Nashville, and it's like Extension Acts, parole from 2013, federal parole. Then it's got like 2015, things like that. I mean, do you know anything about that? Has parole run out? I mean, I'm still going through this.
Well, here's what I'd tell you to do, Tom. When you get specific questions, you can always talk to the public defender's office. You can call them. They do this. The state pays those monies, and the public defender may have access to that particular statute and just share it with you. If you have to have that particular issue research, is it still valid law? Even though they make a statute, it can be reversed. So there's all kinds of laws that are on the book. But are they still good law? That's why a lawyer will say so much, I need to take your question and let us research it to see if it's still valid or not. But you did good, Tom. You identify the issues and then evaluate. And, you know, we have the State Board of Paroles. You can call and ask all these government agencies are there to assist the public. And if they're not, you can always file a complaint. So keep seeking. You're paying tax dollars to have access to that kind of knowledge.
All right, thanks so much for that call, Tom. And once again, right back to our lines. If you are just tuning in, we're glad that you are. The number, if you have a legal question, even a legal comment to discuss with Kevin Kennedy, that number's right there, 737-7587. Let's go back to the lines right now. Janine is on the line with us. Janine, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin? Can you hear us, Janine?
Yes, I have a question. My husband and I purchased some land when it was advertised. It was advertised for 17 acres, and we were advised to have it surveyed. We had it surveyed. So when it was surveyed, the gentleman came back and said, well, don't you know it's more than 17 acres, it's 20 acres. And so when he had it surveyed, he wrote it up and he sent it to the attorney. The attorney created a deed because we had paid cash for the land, and they gave us a deed. About 3 or 4 months ago, we were on the property, mowing the lawn, keeping it clean and all of that, and the neighbor came out and said, you're on my property. So we're saying, well, you know, we worked with the lawyer, we got it surveyed. They did come back and say that it was more than 17 acres. So what I'm trying to, when we've been in contact with the attorneys and the surveyor, and we have asked them to change the survey. Change the deed to reflect what is the accurate survey of the land. So I don't know, and we're not getting any help from the surveyor or the attorney. And my question is, do they need to correct a deed if it's incorrect? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do at this point.
Okay, well, let me just address a few things. As a general rule, you are correct. Go have that matter surveyed. You did. They should have drawn a plat that would have shown you where those lines are, and that would have said so many degrees north, so many degrees south, so many degrees west, and we call that a legal description. The deed should have been prepared based on that survey legal description. And also the surveyor puts pins and they drive them in the ground. And I'll bet you right now those pins are driven in the ground. So if you can't get back to your lawyer, we don't know exactly what they've done, but as a general rule, that's what was done. Now, could the surveyor have made a mistake? Could the lawyer have made a mistake? I would try to talk to them, and if I couldn't, I would go see them and try to get in. You know, that's been my MO all these years, but so many places are locked down and you can't, if you go to their place of business, they're not there. But you always have a right to seek another real estate lawyer's opinion. One more trick I'll share with you. You go to the Register of Deeds. They have plats, aerial shots of that land. You look at it and see what the county records are showing. So based on that, that'll give you one more source to evaluate. Does it say 20 or does it say 17? And that'll help you in your pursuit. As a general rule, if I've got a survey and the pins are there, I'm going to stand on it, because somebody's going to have to tell me that that deed is wrong or the survey's wrong. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much,
Wish you the
Janine.
best.
And, you know, there's a great example, Kevin, of someone who's basically getting a second opinion, which is exactly what you're doing right there, because sometimes you're not always able to get the answer you need from your attorney at the time.
Come on. It's true, Chuck.
All right, Kevin, I tell you what, we are going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we have more of the questions for you for Kevin. So make sure you jot that number down. Give us a call when you have that question or comment, 737-7587. And we're back on Open Line right after this.